Today I want to tell you about a game-based analysis that was used to unravel the interactions amongst various stakeholders or role players following a decision by the South African National Government to build a new dam just upstream of a small estuary. So the playing field was the Groot Brak or Great Brak Estuary, a relatively small system situated along South Africa's warm temperate coast. The mouth of this estuary closes from time to time due to strong wave action and requires river inflow to open it again. The area is also a popular holiday destination where many houses and commercial properties lie within the floodplain, and this makes them vulnerable to flooding. To meet the water demands of a strategically important petroleum refinery in the area, the government decided to build the Wolwerdons Dam about 7 kilometers upstream of this estuary. So the playing field comprised an estuary, of which the mouth closed from time to time, needing river flow to open it, a popular holiday destination where low-lying developments were vulnerable to flooding, and then came the decision to build a dam that would affect both the river flow and the flooding. So who were then the role players? First, those who were in favour of building the dam, which included both the national and regional authorities responsible for water planning, the petroleum industry that needed the water, and also some local farmers that could benefit from the dam during droughts. These role players formed what we can refer to as the Water Security Coalition, with secure water supply as their main goal. They also had the power and the financial resources to build the dam and so to realize their goal. Then there were the local role players comprising the residents of the town, the local municipality, and also small industries that were situated on the floodplain. For example, there were small shops and also a shoe factory. They formed the Local Citizens Coalition that had the health and the safety of the community at heart. And as many of them were living in the area for years, they had local knowledge and they were passionate about the natural beauty of the estuary. Many of the local residents were also retirees, so they had the time to devote to this issue and they could voice their wishes and concerns. The last set of role players comprised national environmental and fisheries authorities, the regional conservation body, and also a group of environmental scientists. Their common goal was biodiversity protection and long-term environmental sustainability, so they became the Environmental Coalition. This coalition's strength lay in their science knowledge on the estuarine processes, which was critical to understand the environmental implications of this new dam. So now that we understand the playing field and the players, let's explore how the game unfolded over the years that follow. In the early 1980s, the National Water Authority made a bureaucratic decision to build the Wolwerdons Dam to secure water for the petroleum industry. When this news reached the local community, they were outraged as they feared for their safety from flooding, and they also had concerns about environmental damage. Their protests were so intense that the national government had no choice but to call for environmental impact assessment, even before this was a legal requirement in South Africa. Then in the early 1990s, after construction of the dam, good rains filled the dam faster than expected, and we entered a period where there was enough water for all, both for the industry, the estuary, and her people. In accordance with the environmental requirements, monitoring had to be conducted to improve the understanding of the estuary response to the changes in river flow. And increasingly, the local residents, authorities, and the scientists started working and learning together about the functioning and the processes in the estuary. Towards the mid-2000s, the improved scientific understanding indicated that the estuary actually needed more water than was originally allocated. And on top of this, a severe drought affected the area during this period, placing severe stress on water availability. So much so that the authorities stopped releasing water to the estuary. As you can imagine, mutual trust, co-management arrangements and collaboration took a dive. All in all, we can distinguish therefore three games. The first one happened during the early stages of the 1980s, characterized by conflict and distrust, so we named that Defiance. Then followed the good times, when there was enough water for all, trust was built, and everyone worked together. So we called this game Co-Managing the Estuary. This was followed by a bleak period with a drought, water was scarce, and conflict surfaced again. So we called this game The Drought. Okay, let's now analyze the dynamics amongst the various role players and their coalitions during each of the games. We schematize the corners of a triangle as representing the stakeholders or actor coalitions and their goals. So any position in the triangle reflects the degree to which one or more of the coalitions had dominated the game. The closer to a corner, the more that coalition's goals were achieved. The closer to the center, the more balanced the outcome. At the onset of Game 1, water security dominated the game because the authorities in this coalition unilaterally decided to build the dam. Major conflict with the local citizens resulted, and even the scientists that entered the game as part of the environmental assessment were distrusted by the locals. They were seen as being in cahoots with the authorities. Then the game unfolds, and a committed engagement and regular communication start to occur between the authorities and the scientists. And despite heated discussions at times, a dedicated environmental committee was established that also included local representatives. The outcome of this game was the adoption of the first environmental management plan in 1990. So the Environment Coalition gained some influence during this game. So with the Environmental Coalition gaining influence in Game 1, they started gaining the trust of the local citizens coalition. They shared their scientific knowledge with the local community, and so all learned together. A hugely important factor during Game 2 was that enough rain filled the dam fast so that there was plenty water for all. So during Game 2, trust was built among the coalitions, and they viewed themselves as co-managers of the estuary. The outcome of this game was a revised environmental management plan in 2004, and this plan adopted the newly gained scientific knowledge, and so they learned by doing. The influence of the local citizens increased towards the end of this game, reaching almost a perfect co-management balance. But then in Game 3, the tables turned. First, the new scientific knowledge revealed that the minimum water requirements of the system were much higher than initially estimated. And on top of this, a severe unanticipated drought hit the area. The Water Coalition feared that they could not meet their commitments to the industry to guarantee water supply. So they chose the route of least resistance, or so they thought. They cut the water supply to the estuary. So this game reveals an almost complete breakdown of collaboration amongst the coalitions. The local citizens even threatened with legal action. This game therefore ends with much unhappiness and an estuary without fresh water. To date, collaboration in the Grootbrak or Great Brak still has not returned to its heydays in the 2000s, mainly due to instability within the coalitions and uncertainty also in the implementation of government water policies. So in this example, we have applied game theory using concepts like playing fields, role players, their goals and coalitions, and the decision outcomes to explore something in a real-life situation. But what does this example teach us? So we learn that game theory is a useful tool that we can apply in understanding decision-making on complex environmental issues, especially where a diversity of stakeholders are involved. It also allows us to distinguish value-based actor coalitions and to explore how their influence and decisions shift over time, showing us who is dominant when.